Hey, welcome to drinknectar.com. I am Josh Wade, and I want to thank you for watching this video on some basic Facebook tips to increase your effectiveness on Facebook. Hey, if you're like a lot of businesses, you have a Facebook fan page, and Facebook is very familiar to a lot of people. 350 million people across the United States use it, but I wanted to talk through some basic interaction tips on Facebook. If you do have a Facebook fan page, some key elements you want to make sure you have is you always want to make sure you have a logo up in the top. You want to make sure that your fan page is not set to come to the info page. If it is set to come to the info page, make sure your info page has more than mine does on it. Make sure your info page has some information about who you are and what you do. I also want to point out a key element to a fan page is a lot of fan pages are set up to where the owner sets it up to just show their own personal status updates. And they make the user have to click to see what the fans are saying as well. When you go in to set up on your settings for your fan page, make sure you set it up to where you see not only the fans' posts, but also your own posts. It's a better user experience, and it helps you create a better interaction connection with your fans. One other key element I want to point out is the temptation that a lot of people have is to link their Facebook pages to their Twitter accounts. It's not recommended. If you're doing that, basically the people that are on Twitter are going to be receiving your tweets that link directly to your Facebook page, and you're going to get less interaction and less response. And the intention that you have to engage both people in both spaces is actually going to have a negative impact, and it's going to backfire on you. If you do still keep this active, it's imperative and it's critical that you always are checking your Twitter account to make sure that if you do get responses, messages, DMs, anything like that, that you're responding to them. Some key elements about Facebook fan pages are the conversation you have with your followers or your fans or your friends. Your status updates, keep in mind that they show up in the feed of your friends' pages. So the way most people use Facebook is they're accessing Facebook through their feed, and they go through and they'll scroll through and see what are some of the most recent comments that people have had to say. So it is important to communicate, frequently. The difference between Facebook and Twitter is that people will tend to scroll through on Facebook, and they'll look through some of their more recent updates. So make sure you're posting frequently if you want to receive information and you receive interaction. Another key piece on your status updates is similar to what I said in an earlier video, is don't just be tweeting or not tweeting. Don't just be updating status updates with me. Ask open-ended questions. Talk through things here. And if one key point to look through is if the last post or if the last comment on one of your status updates is not from you, then you probably should add a comment. So go through here and look, and you can see that you're interacting with conversations on people. You've got 16 comments, you've got 2 comments, you've got 4 comments, those types of things. That means you're engaging the people that that are your fans. Another great aspect to Facebook that is a little different than Twitter is that one-to-many conversation where you actually have the ability to put in photos and video and links in a little bit more easy and relevant fashion. So with Twitter, you can certainly put in links to other content, but with Facebook, you have the ability to put in directly with photos and videos, and you can have people interact with the content that's actually on your page. So make sure if you have tabs across your Facebook fan page that they have content in them. If they don't have content in them, then delete them and make sure that you add that content at a later date. And just like with every other Facebook or Twitter update or tweet, make sure you post relevant content. Don't be self-serving, be engaging, and the fans will follow. Some other tips for using Facebook is in your status updates. A great way to continue that connection with people as they leave your store, as they leave your business, or as they leave your product is to use the @ symbol. Similar to when you're using Twitter, if you have the @ symbol in front of somebody's name, as long as they're one of your fans or as long as you're following them, then you can type in their name. So I can type in Robert Carl Sellers, and I can talk to them, or I can mention them in my status update. The great thing is that this shows up or on their page so that when people access their page, they actually are seeing that you're having a conversation with this particular individual. But in order to gain followers on your Facebook fan page, it's important that you make access to that to people that are already coming into your business, or they have your email, list that you send out, make sure you're including your Facebook information on that, because more commonly people are going to be using Facebook and they're going to be more apt to become your fans. It's also not inappropriate to reach out to certain people and ask them to recommend or to suggest to their friends your Facebook page. If they're already your fans, it's common every once in a while to ask your friends or your followers to suggest to friends. When they do this, they come to your page, they click Suggest to Friends. It opens up all the people that they are friends with, and it allows them to select real easily to send a page request to become your friend. That's a great way to increase your fan exposure and your fan base. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this short 5-minute primer on how to use Facebook fan pages. I'm sure a lot of you guys are really good at using Facebook fan pages. Stay tuned for some other updates on some more in-depth use of Facebook and Twitter, and drink happy.